This isn't a self-help show. It's a soul remembering. I'm Cynthia Sharpe, educator, trauma-informed practitioner, proud mom to a son with Down syndrome, and vice president of Additional Needs Incorporated. I created Down to Heal because too many of us are told to survive and never taught how to heal. This is where we change that. Every other week, I sit down with parents, practitioners, neurodivergent voices, and body-based wisdom keepers. We talk about what really heals: nervous system regulation, somatic truth, community care, and the stuff you don't hear in the mainstream. Because healing isn't talked down, it's shared, it's messy, it's sacred. If you've lived it, studied it, questioned it, or been broken by it, this is the space for you. Down to Heal is a space I wish I had, honest, whole, and held. We're not here to fix. We're here to feel, reflect, and rise together. Listen on Spotify or YouTube. Let's get down to heal. There comes a moment, especially when you've lived through uncertainty, when you realize pushing harder isn't the answer. As a parent, a practitioner, and a human navigating real life, I've learned that healing doesn't begin with fixing. It begins with listening. I am Cynthia Sharpe, Biofeedback Specialist, energy practitioner, and founder of Down to Heal. This space was created for honest conversations about healing, nervous system regulation, and what it means to return to yourself when life feels overwhelming. Today, I am joined by Sue Campanella, a life coach, energy therapist, and Reiki Master who made the brave decision to leave a successful career and follow a calling rooted in truth and service. Together, we talk about releasing trapped emotions, supporting the additional needs community, and what becomes possible when we stop outsourcing our wisdom and start trusting what we already carry inside. If you're here searching for clarity, grounding, or a deeper sense of alignment, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Let's begin. Hi, Sue. Welcome to Down to Heal.
Thank you. How are you?
I am wonderful. You and I met in an event for the 10 best essential Naples energy workers. And I was so pleased to meet you. You had this wonderful, peaceful energy about you. And I went up to you and said, "Hi, my name is Cynthia Sharpe. I do energy work and biofeedback. And what do you do?" And you were like, "Energy work too." So tell me about you, please, and go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Yes, sure. Yeah, it was a great event. And I love how when, things just happen that way, people fall into your path for reasons that you're not sure of at the time. But yeah, so my name is Sue Campanella. I am an energy therapist. I'm a Reiki Master. I am certified in the emotion code, body code, and belief code modalities, as well as other different modalities. Just on my own healing journey, when I knew that where I was in my life and what I was doing business-wise was great, was lucrative, was fun, but I knew that there was something more. What that was, I wasn't quite sure of. So I just literally left my very lucrative, nice job, which I don't recommend to anyone unless you're really, really called to do it. And then I started into becoming a certified life coach and then Reiki Master and on from there. But for me, why I don't recommend it, for me, I needed to do it because boom, I was hit like right up against the wall of all of the self-doubt, all of the fear of lack, all of the fear, which I personally needed to really go through head on to move to the next space in my life. Some people need an easier path, but for me, I needed that jump off a cliff and hope the parachute opens. And it opened, and it's still open. And I'm just so grateful for meeting people like you and for everything that's happened in my journey.
Well, we have very similar paths then, because I was in medical sales prior to being in energy work. And I was doing my own, healing journey, doing, acupuncture, et cetera, different modalities to help myself to recover from car accidents that I had been in. And in 1 year going into medical sales, I got into 6, just literally sitting lame duck. And my neck, my back, you name it. I was a runner. I had to stop running, and it was just the major impact. And having my son changed all of that and really, I wouldn't want to say forced, but really motivated me to get into energy work and transmute all that we were experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And, transmutation is all about redirecting energy. That's all it is. It's really kind of simple and complicated all at once, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once you start playing with that energy, it can be a lot of fun. So, yeah, so to help me understand how you have witnessed that in your journey, in your work with either the additional needs community or those beyond that.
Sure. You can, sometimes I say, small miracles and miraculous. And yes, it can be, but it is truly who we are and what's inside of us. And why I love what I do is to really help people walk in their truth, even if they don't even know what their truth is, because of, you got into 6 car accidents, right? You probably became someone a little different with the pain and everything, right? So how do we shed that? How do we transmute that? How do we have the alchemy come in our lives? So interesting, because when I jumped off that cliff, I had this message in my head that said, help people be who they were born to be. And I was like, okay, I hear that message. I have absolutely no idea how to do that. And I kind of knew what it meant, but didn't truly understand. And then these different modalities came in, and that's literally what I'm doing. And most energy workers, healers do, is allow people to be who they were born to be, which is just shedding the programming, the limiting beliefs, the whatever experiences you've been through, whatever challenges that you experience in your life. And so to help from babies to, people in their 90s to navigate that. And with anyone, just helping them understand that they do have the power within. And it's just seeking alternative ideas, thoughts, modalities that they've maybe never heard of before. I love when I'm introduced to someone gets referred to me, and they really respect who got who referred them to me. Sometimes they'll sit like this. I'm very skeptical. It's not going to work on me because I don't believe it. And I say, okay. It really will work on anyone, whether you believe it or not, right? Because we're tapping into your truth. But it's funny. So over the session, you'll see the arms go a little bit, and then they relax a little. And then at the end, I always say, if you choose to have another session, well, when can we have another session? Right? Because it's just opening, it was really opening the door to your truth. So it's a long way to answer your question, but it's profound in so many ways, and it's so individual, not only to each person, but each session they go through. As you know, each session that you give, different things you have the aha moments, different things are shed. The transformation takes place. I probably didn't answer your question, but I just get so excited to share the alternative ways to have your good mind health, right? Physical health, mental, emotionally, spiritually, and truly walk in your path and be able to put all the noise, put all of the negativity that may be around you at different times, put it aside, right? Which seems so difficult now because we're bombarded with it. but you can do it is the thing. You can do it, and it's not that difficult. You just have to know the right habit and pattern to get into, and have help along the way of shedding the heaviness so that you can come out as yourself.
Do you find that a lot of people are unaware that they're kind of moving around the world, just kind of going like, I've done this, I can do this, and don't know that it's time to really access people like you and I to help them kind of motivate them further, give them the energy and the oomph to move past the Groundhog Day, so to speak, right?
Yeah, I do. And what shift has been happening, which I think it's beautiful, is I've been getting a lot of children referred to me either by their therapist or another mom that I worked with their child and they talked with their friends. So the adults probably wouldn't take in the time or the money, right, for themselves to do it, but you'll do anything for your children. So, and between 2020 and the isolation of what transpired through that and social media and just being bombarded by media all the time, we don't realize how our kids are such sponges in that respect. And that's when, a lot of kids are anxiety and depression and just not knowing who they are or where to turn to or what to do. So the parents want to help. And so they have faith in whoever, again, referred them to me and said, okay, well, so-and-so said you did this, or I saw the changes in so-and-so's child, can you help my child? And so this generation of children is getting a gift in their parents of, okay, this has not been working. Where we are in this line of what's happening in society isn't working. So what else can we do? And it's the alternative ways that aren't really alternative, as you know, right? They've been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, right? So what's exciting is we're getting back to really asking the body what it needs, really looking at the child, the adult, whoever it is, what do they specifically need? And when you ask the body the right questions, you get to the root. And the root is, once you resolve what's happening with that root issue, then that's where those small miracles happen.
So I kind of akin it to, and maybe you can either confirm or share your own personal perspective, but I akin it to, like, when my mom grew up, she was left-handed as a child, and they pinned her left hand behind her to write right-handed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can actually see it in her writing, the difficulty and like the strain in the handwriting. And I think of energy work or not addressing the mind, body, spirit as a whole as very much having your left hand held back and being forced to write with or the opposite hand, right? And not really addressing the whole person. She could have been taught left-handedly, that wasn't accepted. And I think right now we're in a phase in all sorts, medical, societal, emotional, how we're going to address our mindset. And with, I think it was, I read in 2050, like 5 billion people will have some kind of neurological or brain like injury. So if that many people are going to be walking around, who can say that they're normal walking around, because our state of mind and our processing isn't going to be there?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts?
Well, that's a scary thought for one, yes. But just because it's being out there and it's said doesn't mean that it will happen, right?
True.
So we absolutely can take matters into our own hands. educate ourselves, do the research, and remember, just because you said it, just because I said it, just because someone on the media said it, doesn't make it true, right? So we need to have responsibility for ourselves to do the research. For me, it's about a feeling. If it feels right, I'm not a huge researcher, but I know that feeling. I know what my higher self is acknowledging. Why I jumped off the cliff with my job, right? I knew that that's what I needed to do. And so if we go with stop following, right? And you don't necessarily have to be a leader, but be an individual and do your work. Look at your environment. Look at who you're hanging around with. Look at what you're ingesting. Look at what you're listening to. Vibration is everything, right? Words, what people may know but not fully understand is words, the negative mind chatter in our head, the words that we hear on media, on social media, on our neighbors talking to each other. They all hold a vibration. And no matter how those words are said, the vibration is exactly the same. So if you are around a lot of negative words, music, whatever the case may be, you're going to continue to not feel well. And when you don't feel well, you can become desperate. You can just think it's your new norm, like that 2050, right? This is what's going to happen. That's going to be the new norm. It can be if nothing changes the trajectory of what's going on now. But thankfully, you and I and so many other people, right, have stepped into that space of, no, we don't want to stay on that trajectory. We want to go back to the basics of thousands of years ago and really look at the body, mind, soul, spirit, and see what imbalances are going on and help to release those imbalances.
Have you found that you can access like the people's subconscious mind, right? What is playing underneath? They think that they're saying one thing, yet they're really telling themselves a completely different story. So they're actually at tug of war with themselves and helping them to move forward. That's something I feel like the additional needs community could really benefit from, because I think that there is quite a tug of war in a mental capacity of your child is only going to be able to do this because they have this diagnosis. And it really takes momentum if you think about it, much like physics, right? The more that you have going, the easier it is. But in order to get that going, you need support. You need to hear another option, another possibility. Thoughts?
Yes, absolutely true. It takes a village, right? It absolutely takes a village. And I'll give you an example of a beautiful young girl that I work with. She has one of her biggest issues is equalizing. If her and her brother's name is said out of sequence, that she feels it could be a 2 to 3 hour tantrum where she's physically harming herself. If, say she's having some pudding and you say, here, use this spoon, because she didn't choose that spoon. And it's not bratty behavior. This is something that so
you're talking about emotional regulation.
Yes.
Okay.
So we were working with her mom. We've done a lot of work together through emotion code, body code, and some other modalities. But this equalizing was really, and it's very traumatic. We were able to use another modality and neutralize that equalizing behavior. Profound change, right? So just an example that when you're told This is just the way it is. I always tell people, if someone tells you that this is chronic, there is no cure for it, it means that that person who's saying that has not found the cure for it, right? I'm not saying that every single thing out there has a cure, but it can be transformed. So in bringing in your village and taking a chance by calling you, right? Because someone referred someone to you, can just changes not only your life, but everyone's life around you, right? Because when we shift, everyone else's shift. When we shift and we see, oh, there are other ways, other alternatives, we talk about it. And then people get curious and then they step into it. But just the email I got back from this mom, is when I did it, it's energy work, right? So we're cross country from each other. And I did this different modality and I just emailed her. I said, let me know. I did something new. Let me know if you see a shift, because I don't want to plan anything, right? To look for some little. And the next day, all caps, all exclamations, wow, wow, wow. Oh my gosh. And just pure joy for me to allow that gift in her to come out, right? It was like she was in a box, that equalizing box. That's not her. That's not who she is. That's not who she was born to be. And so the change, the betterment for her and her family and everyone around her, I don't have enough words to say. It's just beautiful.
Have you ever experienced, let's take that child, right? And that example of the child and the ripple effect. Have you ever found that the people on the outside of that ripple effect are like, I don't think that that's possible for me? Do you ever see that?
Yes.
Like, that seems like it's really good for you, but I don't think it's for me. What do you do with that?
Yes, and that's a great question, because I have worked with children, and I'll get maybe 2 or 3 years after I worked with a child that the parent's friend will call me 2 to 3 years later. I saw the change in so and so, and my friend talked about your work, but I just didn't understand it. Maybe there was something else that happened. But then they get into a situation, from my experience, this is what has happened. They get into they're experiencing, not, I can't say desperation, but big challenges. And they say, what the heck? What do I have to lose? Let me try it. Right. But then sometimes, like I said, I'll get that, well, I don't think it's going to work. And that's okay, right? It's okay that I don't understand how my electricity works. I flip the switch. I know that it's all technical and I don't understand it. I don't need to understand it. I'm just grateful that the light goes on, So it's okay that we don't understand everything, but just knowing that we have choices. There are alternatives out there. Bring in your village.
So when you talk about bringing in your village, and having had my son, I felt like it was a very spiritual experience. It wasn't just us. When you talk about bringing in your village, and I know that some people may feel a little challenged, and I'm okay with that, right? We all have our different belief systems. I believe in God. I also believe that no being can do it all by themselves, and that includes God. So talk to me about the village that you play with and work with.
Yeah, so I can give you an example of that little girl that I was just talking about. So when her mom first came to me, she had mentioned that in one of another alternative healer that she was using, mentioned something about her soul. So I was like, I do muscle testing in what I do. So I tested, does she need soul work to be done? And I have a friend who does soul work. So I called my friend and I gave her the whole scenario, and she did. She needed some soul work, and there was a definite shift immediately after that soul work was done. I know what I know. You know what you know. There's so much more that I don't know, I don't understand, and there's so many modalities out there, right? Like there's so many tools out there. I teach a lot with tools with my clients, because not every tool works, but not every tool resonates with you. You're not in alignment with it. So let's say tapping, for example, emotional freedom technique. If you're not comfortable with it, you won't do it. It will become a chore. So it's not really a tool anymore because you're not using it, right? Yeah.
Right.
I have an easy way for you. But no, so just I've been fortunate enough to be around a lot of healers, a lot of different modalities, and we all communicate. Even if I haven't heard from someone in a couple of years or vice versa, there's something that will spark in my brain, oh, let's call so-and-so and see, what can be done. So yes, being that it takes a village, again, it's phenomenal what I do, but I do what I do. I'm not versed in everything. So bringing in other people that can add on to what I've done or go in another different direction, because we can all heal. We all have that ability. We can still have challenges, even though we're healing. You may bring in someone that has a way to help lessen that challenge, right? That I haven't heard about or known about, or you. So that's my definition of village, just having your posse or your peeps, that you can call on and collaborate with.
I love that. Yeah, what the vision I was getting as you were speaking was very much like you get into that toolbox, and if you've got if you need a Phillips screwdriver, you're not going to go for a flathead, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to serve its purpose. So same goes with using your practitioners. And I really advise people to interview, and most practitioners should do a complimentary consultation, a phone call, a discovery call, whatever you want to call it, but a way to contact and just kind of feel in, are they hearing you? Are you on the same page? It goes both ways. Let me just say that, because I've also been on the end of where I can tell someone, this isn't really a fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I can know ahead of time and just know we resonate in very different levels, and you need someone who resonates at yours. And I'm okay with that because I want this. And I resonate in my office. I love to, like I said to you in the very beginning, I love to play. And I want people who want that energy. And if I'm not that for them and they don't want that, then let's not play. Because, the sandbox is for playing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I feel, and
Yeah.
authentically so, and unapologetically so. And I hope you do too with your clients and whoever goes seeking another individual. Do you have anything that you want to share for people who are seeking practitioners, what to look for?
Absolutely. And you are so right. Even if you have the best referral ever, you need to talk to that person. As I say, sometimes you don't even like the sound of someone's voice, right? So that will be irritating to you. And now you just paid for this session and you're like, oh my God, it did happen to me once. There was a meditation and I was like, oh my gosh, I had to turn it off because for whatever reason, the woman's voice was just not putting me anywhere close to a meditation, right? Yes. But between something as simple as that, as their voice, but you're right. You want to make sure that you are being heard and that you are hearing the other person. You want to make sure that again, it's a feeling that if you don't feel right, but your best friend is raving about this person, there's something inside you that's saying, not that that's that person is not a good person, but as you said, you're just not in alignment with each other, right? You may be a player, you may be just a researcher, and you just like to be here, and the other person is all over the place. So important, so important. That doesn't mean that what they're doing will not help you, but you'll be fighting it. It won't be, it should be, you should feel good, you should feel relaxed, you should feel comfortable, and you definitely want to like the sound of their voice.
Right. And not feel resistance, I think is the word that you're looking for, like
Yes.
that resistance, or like a zipper being in alignment instead of like being, okay, I got a couple grooves in, but everything else is just hanging out.
Yes.
Right. So when you look at the additional needs families, what do you wish for the additional needs community, and how can we as energy workers, do you feel, uplift the additional needs community?
I think really knowledge, like, and again, I'll just go back to that little girl. Her mom didn't know anything about the energy world, and a best friend of a best friend of a best friend, all the moms were talking, and so she took a chance. So it's education, it's including the testimonials and the stories, so that everyone can have an aha moment, so everyone can see themselves or their child in different scenarios. You're bombarded with a lot of information. So taking the time to really, when we're putting out our own information, our own stories or tools, remembering the additional needs community, and how can we touch that? Because even though I do work with additional needs kids, meeting you and looking at what you're doing has opened me up to, I really need to do more. I really need to have my messaging open up, because I have seen it. And I'm going to start to tear up. I have seen it in a lot of children that I work with, the changes, profound changes in these kids and their families, and the children they go to school with, and whoever's in their environment. Yeah. So I thank you for opening me up more to what I need to do to help and get that messaging out. Even if it's just planting a seed, right, in someone, and then maybe 6 months later, someone else plants a seed, and then maybe a year later, oh, they meet someone, they meet you, maybe, I think it's time that I try that.
Thank you. So how do you, because I know in the additional needs, in raising my son, there was just so much to process, and I'm going to be a little more personal now. Like when he was really little, it was my own emotion, right, as a parent, accepting our new life, trying to recognize how I could be the best mom that I could be for him, and then also processing his behaviors that were different, and trying to understand him all at once and have compassion. So there's so many layers. On top of that, having the influence of therapists or physicians saying he's not meeting benchmarks, or he's doing this or not accomplishing that. And it was absolutely overwhelming. And sometimes I didn't get the support that I needed from, say, a practitioner or whomever I was seeking it from. How do you, as a practitioner, like clear the energy of the day so that other additional needs parents can learn that and kind of move through life a bit easier without bringing in all that we hear that's less than, right? When we're trying to be more than.
Great question. And also a reminder for the parents that they need the work too, right? Because we always put ourselves way behind. And you can't. You have to be whole. You have to work on yourself just as much. Working with energy work, just with the modalities that I do, helps to release the emotions, the fear, the overwhelm, the anxiety, right? We can literally go in and release those trapped emotions. We can release negative energies. We can release limiting beliefs. And what does that do for you, the parent? When you can shed all that heaviness, that's when you can have much more clarity. And when you're overwhelmed by all these practitioners and all the advice from people and the negativity, this is it, right? Just expect this. Well, that's what that person knows again, right? We can expect anything. So helping the parents release what they need to release, it brings in the clarity, also brings in patience, also brings in planting seeds for, other modalities for themselves as well as their child. But the biggest thing is to take that heavy weight off so that they can be the best person they can be. Because when you're under that blanket of overwhelm and fear and anxiety and possibly depression, it doesn't mean, you're clinically depressed or anything, but those emotions are real. And when they're trapped, they're like little balls of negative energy. So when they're trapped in your body, they want more, right? So they will hang on to more and they act as triggers. So if something slightly challenging comes your way, it can trigger all of the other very challenging things. And now that small challenge is completely overwhelming.
Compounded.
Yes. So to be able to release what we can release, again, just it gives you much more clarity, a brighter perspective, right? Makes you you can have, when you feel that you can't be joyful because there's so much going around, you can, because we are put on this planet for joy and abundance. Most people these days think stress and anxiety is just the norm, and that's what we have to do. It is not, it is not, it is not. We are put here for joy and abundance. And so using all the different energy modalities helps us to get to that space. Not to say, everything else rosy and we won't have challenges, but we'll be able to go through those challenges much easier.
So, Sue, more on a personal basis, what do you do specifically you deal with a whole bunch of clients, and being a practitioner, I know how people literally dump, okay, these are my worries, these are my concerns. You hear it throughout the day, whether you get it in an email because you're doing remotes, or whether you get it in person or even on the phone. How do you clear yourself so that you're not kind of like taking out the trash? You're not just bombarded by the end of the day and your trash is full and you're like, I'm tapped out.
Yes. First and foremost, which I learned the hard way, is you do have to continue to put yourself first, because as healers, we're very compassionate. And I went through a year where I was doing way too much. I get an email from someone saying, so-and-so referred me and I'm just desperate. So I didn't have the appropriate boundaries, and I had to take a step back and redo my boundaries. I had to take some time off, regain my energy back. So first and foremost, you always have to put yourself first. But what I do is I do the tools that I teach, right? And it's so interesting because many times I'll be talking to a client and a tool will come up and I'll say to myself, oh, yeah, I need to bring that tool out for myself, right?
True. Thank you, Spirit.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
hear the little nudge.
Yes. And thankfully, all the modalities I do for others, I can do for myself. And I do that, right? To keep everything the way that it's supposed to. But yeah, doing my own tools, having appropriate boundaries, living as healthy of a lifestyle as I can. And gratitude. Gratitude trumps everything.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. We taught our son how to practice gratitude And now, mind you, our son didn't speak for quite some time. And if I can put it into like really comprehensive terms, we got flooded out in 2022 with Hurricane Ian. And this is why I remember it. Not so much the flooding out, but because we were displaced and we were celebrating Thanksgiving. So I remember it very clearly, right? And I might get a little emotional. We're sitting at the table. He's, let's see, is he 12? I think he was 12 at that time. And he says to me, Mom, what's your day? Wait, you just asked a question? Like your very first question. I know you meant to say, like, how was your day? What's your day? It was like, oh my gosh. Like for me, that was just like, wow, all that time, all that energy, both in you and in me. I am going to celebrate me and you and all that we have done as a cumulative with dad and with therapists. This is like a huge moment, something other people would totally take for granted.
Yeah. Oh,
And- right? Now, if the general public could actually take more time to enjoy those simple little things that they discard and just go, "Ah, but, but this is much bigger." To celebrate the simple little things, I have to say that is the one takeaway of being an additional needs parent that has afforded me like the life that we have, sanity. Because if I didn't do that, I think I wouldn't, I definitely wouldn't be able to do what I do. I wouldn't have the energy to do what I do.
mm. And how beautiful that he was concerned about you, right? For it's just beautiful all around, but just the love that he showed to you, not something that he needed, but how are you today, Mom?
Right?
Oh, so beautiful. Yeah.
At the dinner table, and it was like, all right, we were able to like start going, so what were you grateful for today? And you know, that sometimes he'll actually just do it on his own. It's just kind of sweet and
Yeah.
thoughtful and like a reminder. And sometimes he'll be like, okay, hands folded, I'm in prayer now. And it's so like darling. I think that is the joy of having children and or someone in your life that brings that out in you. And sometimes it's the practitioner to remind you, you have to come back to spirit. You have to come back to God because that is your true essence. And that is, there is a blueprint of sorts that we come into this life to be. We may have, just like an architect has like a certain floor plan for the home, the buyer sometimes have like little edits here and there,
Mm-hmm.
right? We definitely go along with that in life.
Definitely. Definitely. And one of the things off of that is so many times when things aren't going the way that we want, we get stuck in, oh, here I am. I'm learning another lesson. When am I going to stop learning these lessons? Right. But it's not always we've done something wrong and we have to learn a lesson, right? We have to change our whole thinking. That's program thinking. You did something wrong, there's a lesson. Did something wrong, there's a lesson, right? It's the experiences that we're having in life. It's if whatever you thought was a lesson didn't come into your life, you might not have appreciated something else, right? Kind of similar to what you're saying. So there's a lot of reprogramming that has to be done so we can get to our essence, we can get to our core, we can get to why God put us on this planet at this time, right? To live in joy and abundance.
Right?
Yeah.
At the time that I had decided I was going to do this, I was putting out to God, like, okay, so what is it that exactly that you want me to do? Like I've been doing biofeedback and I've been doing healing energy work. What is it that you really want me to do? And it was clear as a whistle in a dream. It's always dream state for me. Like it's just so clear and visual. And I didn't know how it was going to transpire. I didn't know all of it. I just knew the feeling. And it was so intense and it was so like passionate and it was like humbling at the exact same time going, I'm going to put myself out there and be vulnerable, really incredibly vulnerable to do this
Yeah.
and help. So
Yeah.
thank you very, very much for, helping me, spread the word and coming on board and being incentivized to seeing how you can influence the additional needs community yourself. And if I may assist you, I am here for you. If you have questions, I am here. Is there anything else you would love to share with the additional needs community? And
Well, I thank you for inviting me on, and we are all here together. When you might feel that you're alone, when you might feel that life is just so overwhelming and you don't know what to do, who to turn to, no, we're out there. We're in all different shapes and forms and sizes, right? Don't take no for an answer. Don't take this is it. There's nothing that can change from this. Don't take that there's no, I don't even want to say cure, but don't remember that everyone has their limitations. We only know what we know. So just because the person you're talking to doesn't know another way, doesn't mean there's not another way.
I absolutely agree. That was my sanity. Because I was joking in another episode that the S was not my superpower. My superpower was stubbornness, you know, that I couldn't take no. Like you may not know, and it was very much that. Like I have a certain idea of what our life and what I want for my son, and I know I can call that in and I know I can embody that. Now I need someone to help me align with that. And it really I wholeheartedly believe in what you just said. You need to find that support system to identify how you support, whether it's in gut and brain health, whether or not it's in detoxification, right? Because everyone has their own suit. Like I'm not comfortable helping people detox other than through the biofeedback, which is frequency detoxification. It is not like parasite and heavy metal. I that to me is that needs someone who's monitoring you and knowing how well you're going to the bathroom and all that kind of stuff that although I can assist with, that is not my specialty, right?
Right.
And I'm okay with owning what my specialty is. And I'm good with saying, go to a medical practitioner who can monitor that because that's not an easy.
Right. Right.
Um, what um what services are you so passionate about and feel so connected to? And I'm sure you're going to say all of them that you provide, but really, there are some I'm sure that really call to your heart that you're like mind blown over, that you're like, these resonate me and come right back to me and fulfill my heart and back and forth. So tell me, please.
Yeah, I would say the emotion, body, and belief codes just rocked my world. Because as I said, when I had that message, help people be who they were born to be, I'm like, well, great. I get it, but I don't know how I'm going to do that. When I was introduced to the emotion code first, I was like, this is it. This is how I'm going to help. So between those three modalities and the new modality to me, not new in years, is neutralizing, using the pendulum. It's kind of the pendulum in shamanism of neutralizing something that's going on. And I'll give you a very simple example. I have a 2.5-year-old granddaughter, and for whatever reason, she is waking up screaming, saying that she's scared. And so I neutralized whatever negativity was causing that fear just yesterday. And this morning, my daughter texted and said she slept right through the night. So yeah, it's the little things like that, right? Aren't so little
Right.
when you're the parents and you haven't slept in weeks, right? To something more profound where it's a chronic illness or whatever the case may be. So those are my 4 very much go-to modalities. Yeah, and it's just,
I love it.
as I get so much joy. And again, no words. I wish I had a more intelligent word other than cool when I'm on complimentary calls, for my people that may be clients. I say it is just so cool, for lack of a better word. It just is, because just seeing the transformation in people and seeing what can be released. And you don't have to go over it. You don't have to retell the story, right? Because we're doing muscle testing. We're connecting with the subconscious and the energy field, which is leading us right to where we need to go. And we're just release, 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 release. And you feel lighter and more clarity. And yeah, I could talk forever,
Isn't
but
that
we
a
don't.
beautiful thing? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just had someone with a traumatic brain injury yesterday, and no one had helped her process her car accident, right? And she was T-boned. And I'm I'm like, okay, so in the complimentary call, okay, come on in. We're going to do this eye pattern that will access the subconscious mind. Most people ask me whether or not it's EMDR. Yes, it uses the eye saccades, but it's not EMDR. I'm doing intuitive like processing and clearing it energetically, and we'll go from there. And so she's doing it. And I had just had someone else I had done it on earlier who was like, I haven't been sleeping well. And just during session was like ready to like conk out. And I was like, okay, we're done. And this one, she was like, this is so cool. And I'm just going to accept that I'm processing. It was interesting to see her own. And yeah, that one fulfills me quite a bit, just to literally see people's eyes change, because we never quite understand, and we underestimate how much our visual perception influences everything,
Mm,
right? That
yeah.
trauma processing, how our reality is expressed, how we react to our reality. Yeah, I could go on and on about that
I know.
with you for some time.
But and also, so with biofeedback, with what you do and what I do and a lot of modalities, what people might not understand if they've never done it before is sometimes it can seem too easy to be true. I
Mhm.
get that a lot because I've been to talk therapy. I'll get, which is very needed, but it's been exhausted for these particular people, right? And then they're like, well, how can I just sit here and you're just releasing things, and I don't feel like I'm doing enough work. But just showing up, you're doing all the work, being open and showing up.
Right.
And with me, with
And
biofeedback, I love to lay there and like, oh, this is like so yummy.
because it
Right?
really does take the work out, right? That's what I loved about my system. It was just like, it was like a grandmother to me that just kind of spoke to me on all levels with my son, who was nonverbal at the time. And it helped me have patience when he was going through insomnia. And therefore, I was experiencing it too. And no one likes to be like emotionally distraught all the time, but with insomnia and not knowing when you're going to sleep and just be longing for that
Mhm.
sleep, it's intense. um and it just gave me the capacity to go, okay, it's okay, mama, he's teething. It's okay, mama, he's constipated. Oh, it's okay, mama, he's going through growing pains. Whatever it was just like,
Yeah.
right. And I wish that for the world, because we all need to take a deep breath.
We
Now,
do.
if we could all do it all at once, man, would this world be a better place.
Absolutely. Well, we'll take it little bits at a time in the meantime, right? Right. By doing, doing all the work that you're doing and really allowing these conversations to be heard.
So what do you say to those who are like, I just don't get it? Like, how I get it all the time with biofeedback. I'm like, you walk into a cell phone store, you've never had one. We used to have the phones on the walls, right? I love those days. If I could go back, I totally would. But now we walk around with cell phones and we automatically take for granted that someone can call us from anywhere in the world. And yet, someone doing energy work remotely seems incomprehensible and unbelievable to you. Yet, this little mini computer is tangible. What do you
Yeah.
say to that?
It's so true. It's so true. And I get that a lot. And that's a great analogy with the cell phone. I typically use electricity. There are so many things in this world that we don't fully understand. Even, you don't need a key to turn your car on anymore, right? You press this button.
Or
There's
not
so
even.
many
Now
things
you can
that
do it through the app.
right. Do it remotely. There are so many things because we are being told by a lot of people that this is what we need and this is what works. And this is why it's important for what you're doing is we need to let more people know about energy work, let them get a little, again, planting the seeds and just taking that step in because just try it. Just try it.
Right.
If it's not for you, it's not for you, but at least you've tried something. Nothing it can't hurt you. And it's really like you said with the phone and like with the electricity, there are so many, God, right? Spirit. We don't fully understand it. We don't fully know what happens when you pass. Having a baby growing in your belly, right?
That's
We
a
can kind
big
of understand,
miracle.
right? We can kind of understand it, but what when you hold that baby, like what that was there? How did that happen? And there's so many ways that we're touching our lives that we don't fully understand what it is. But for someone who may be apprehensive, maybe skeptical, look at testimonials, talk to people, make those consultation calls. You might go through 4 or 5 people, right, before you start to fully understand, because you'll get more and more seeds planted, and then you will connect with someone that you feel. It is all about feeling. Everything is about feeling, right? That you feel comfortable with, you feel connected with. Yeah. But as we all took that step and got that first smartphone, take this step and talk to a practitioner.
Right. Are there any habits that you practice that you recommend? Are there like 1 or 2 habits that you recommend for the additional needs community to like keep themselves uplifted that you practice on a daily basis?
Yes. So definitely turning off media, turning off social media. Yes, there's some valuable information out there if you're looking in the right places. Trust yourself, right? Check in with yourself. One of my favorite things to do, one of my favorite tools is tapping and burning, right? So tapping is emotional freedom technique, is when you're tapping on the different spots that go to your amygdala to neutralize whatever you're doing. And there's a lot of different ways to tap, as there's a lot of different ways to do anything else. So let's just take an example. You are very overwhelmed. Maybe you just came from the doctor, and because they're a doctor, you didn't ask the questions you wanted to, or you thought that they were not the kindest person and you would have loved to have told them off, but you didn't want to because you're a good person. So one of my go-to is what I tell my clients is pretend someone, and that someone could be you, is sitting in a chair duct taped with duct tape over their mouth, and they'll have amnesia when you're done. And so the perfect way to tap, I like to write down things first. So everything that I might be frustrated, overwhelmed, angry, whatever, I write it out because I don't want to forget anything. Then read it as you're tapping. Then when you're done, tear it up and burn it, because you are releasing it. It is no longer yours. It doesn't serve anything. So that is my go-to tool. But again, gratitude and turning off and asking yourself, is this emotional or is this reality? Because a lot of times our emotions it's this big, and then our emotions by the next day, sleeping through it, they're like so big, right? So just take the time. All right, is this my emotions or is this really the reality that's happening? Yeah, 9 times out of 10, it's a tiny bit of reality and a huge bit of emotion. Yeah, and finding the tool that works for you to release those emotions that are making that reality so much bigger. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sue. I so appreciate your time, your expertise, and for joining us on Down to Heal. I hope we'll get to do it again, and we'll have more to add to the discussion.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for inviting me. I love these conversations. We all have to have more of these conversations, just to spread the word, to give people hope
for each other. Thank you for joining us on Down to Heal, a space where we don't escape the mess. We lead it with heart, with courage, with curiosity. This podcast is part of a bigger movement, of remembering that healing is relational, that community is sacred medicine, and that we rise by tending to the roots, and that real change begins by tending to what's been ignored for too long. Through Synchronicity and Additional Needs Incorporated, I walk alongside parents, practitioners, and families navigating the spaces where the system falls short and where the soul steps in. If something in this episode spoke to you, let it ripple, share it, sit with it, or simply take a breath. And remember, you're not alone, because this is not just personal. It's collective, it's cultural, it's generational. It's how we build a world that holds all of us. Until next time, stay rooted in truth, stay soft in your heart, and stay down to heal.